Loneliness and being alone is a feeling that we all get. Some of us more than others. Now, especially when you're younger, there are times when you just feel like no one understands you. Basically in your teenage years, no one understands me, I'm alone. Then you have your friends, so then you don't necessarily feel lonely. You feel isolated from your parents, probably. But now it seems like there is a bit of an epidemic of loneliness. And it seems like it has a lot to do with social media, the internet, video games, porn, all of the trappings of the modern internet, which puts us in our own little bubble of information and media because it's all geared to specifically cater to our unique sensibilities and feed us content based on that. And so what happens then is that you necessarily get isolated in your own sort of media bubbles, and the media is also feeding on your dopamine and giving you little hits so that you want more and getting you addicted to the endless amount of content that it's setting you in order to get clicks, because it's an attention economy. The problem with that is that we get sucked into being online, being on a phone, being on a computer or laptop, whatever, all the time. And we don't interact in the real world, and thus we feel alone. And I would also say that there is less community these days than there was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. You don't have church groups. You don't have smaller towns where people got together and spent a lot of time with each other. People work more because money is our new god. And so we're working a lot and then too tired to socialize, too tired to be with friends, be with family. And I saw that when I had the city life as well, is that people get so involved in their work life that they fail to make the social connections and the relationship connections that are more deep. They're not shallow. And so they feel more lonely because you don't have these relationships that are deeper. And if you live in a city and there's millions of people, then you feel a sense of isolation because there's a lot of people around you, but you don't have these deep connections with those people around you. So it's this weird thing where there are people around and you don't necessarily feel connected to them. And also the nature of our sort of capitalist economy and the fact that we consume stuff and that we're transactional, we've been influenced to feel like we can derive some meaning or some happiness or some connection through buying stuff. And so we tend to look at consumption as a way to feed the deeper needs that we have, and it doesn't do it. It doesn't work. And that's why we also have that sense of like just a bigger hole in our deeper feeling life because of the lack of deeper relationships, the lack of real connection. And so, but it is quite fixable if you're feeling lonely and you want to get relationships and deeper connections. But it really requires you to go out there and do it and change your life and change your habits so that you are creating those deeper relationships. And because a lot of other people are also getting sucked into too much work, too much internet, too much social media, uh, too much producing all the time in order to make money, then even just doing it yourself is going to be more difficult than it was in the past, because others may not realize that they're getting sucked into these other things, and they may just treat you as a shallow relationship. So the cure for this sense of loneliness, and there's also another thing as well. When I was younger, I never really had a real difficulty with loneliness because I kind of did things. I was very active. I was always starting businesses. I always had ideas. I was very busy at trying to master certain things in the business realm. And I loved entrepreneurship, and I loved designing, and I loved creating things. And so a lot of my deeper emotions came from being involved in something that I was passionate about. And that necessarily attracted people. And so I was in the situation where I was like, I couldn't get enough alone time. I wanted more alone time. And I needed to change my life so that I could get a little bit more alone time, so I could regenerate my batteries and then go out and have those relationships. But I really still wasn't very capable of having deeper relationships. And so what I've realized now is that trying to master something, be good at something, the more that I'm passionate about something and I'm going out there and I'm really going out there and getting it in the world, the less lonely I am, the more that people will be attracted to that. They like, and they'll feel that energy of me doing things, and they want to be part of it. People love that. And so I've realized that if there's an area in my life where I want to be less lonely, or I want more people around, then I have to take action in that area. And a lot of it is to do things that I really, really like, or that I enjoy, or push myself to do things that I might be uncomfortable with, that I want to do. And that necessarily increases my social interactions and puts me in front of people and allows me to make connections and have social relations and really be out there and meet people and be less lonely. The other thing I've realized, and that I started doing a while ago, is I joined a men's group because I wanted to figure out how to be a better person, enjoy my life more, and to really get the most out of it. And being in these men's groups, and there's typically 10 to 12 guys in there, I found people that had the same values, the same things that they wanted to do, and I started making friends there. And it also gave me social interaction, but I was getting some really good value because the idea was to be really honest, really accountable, to try and solve problems in your life. So essentially, I was going into these men's groups, and it was weekly, and it became a really good community for me to be like, oh, if I wanted to work on not being lonely, or if I wanted to do anything, then I got a good group of people that could give me solid feedback, and they became like a group of friends. It gave me lots of social time. So there was never a point where I felt lonely, because there was always someone that I could call up and be like, hey, I'm dealing with this. What do you think? Hey, I got this going on. What do you think? Hey, you want to go out and do this? Hey, and so I had a good network of like-minded people that could fill up that hole or gap that I might have had in my relationship part of my life. And so that really allowed me later on to not feel like I was alone in the universe. But ultimately, we are alone in the universe. And understanding that and being able to use that alone time to have a deeper understanding of yourself and who you are and what makes you happy, what's your values, what are your strengths, what are the things you really want to do in your life, do you want to master something, do you want to be really good at something, is this time to practice on something that could bring something to your life, or do you want to socialize, do you want to go out, do you want to learn a new sport, do you want to do a hobby, do you want to play board games, do you want to learn how to dance, do you want to learn an instrument? any of these things that you may be like, I would like to do something like this, I want to learn something, all of this stuff is going to put you in contact with people for the most part. And the more that you put yourself out there in these realms, the more people you're going to meet. The more that you try to go out there and do something on your own to make yourself a better person, the more that people are going to be attracted to that. The more that they're going to be like, hey, you're doing something like I'm doing. Let's talk about this at the least. Let's be friends maybe. Let's go to this event. That you name it. There are so many areas that you could put your attention to that are going to put you with other people, that are going to let you into other communities. But the main thing is you have to put yourself out there. And so when I talk about the cure for loneliness, if someone's asking me about that, because I still do lead these men's groups, a lot of the time it's, what do you love doing? What are your strengths? What have you always wanted to do? How physical are you? If you need to improve yourself in a realm of your physicality, maybe there's a sport you could join or learn. And there's always going to be people doing that. There's team sports, individual sports, whatever it is. It could be rock climbing, it could be volleyball, it could be squash, it could be surfing, it could be. There are social relationships to be found in that physical realm. And if you need to improve your body and you need to improve your health and your physicalness, there you go. If it's mental, if it's books, if it's reading, if it's writing, if it's some kind of learning, like I said, guitars, drums, any kind of musical instrument, there are a myriad of realms that you can go into where you are doing something for yourself that's going to improve your life, but that also gives you the social connections that we really, really crave, that are not sitting on the internet, obviously, that are not, with your face into a cell phone and just being fed content. It's participation. It's putting yourself out there. It's going into things and doing them. So that's what I ask people that are in my groups is, what areas of your life are you feeling miserable? Are you feeling bad? Are you feeling like they're not up to what you really, really want to be? And how do you improve on those? And necessarily, what's the social part of that? How are they going to put you in front of people? Once you start asking these questions, and then questions with what do you value? What do you love? Then you start to put together your own puzzle for getting the relationships that you really, really desire and not having this feeling of loneliness. Because essentially, if you feel lonely, it's because you don't accept yourself and you're not able to just hang out with yourself and be okay with it and enjoy the time. Maybe you're trying to run away from something. Maybe you're trying to run away from thoughts or emotions that are coming up with you. These are all reasons that people feel lonely and don't want to be alone, that they're trying to run away from something. This is why people get addicted to drugs, get addicted to anything, porn, you name it, is because they find it very difficult to be with themselves. And if that's the case, you really want to ask yourself, why can't I be with myself? What is it that I don't want to feel, that I don't want to think about? And how can you dig into that and really solve that issue for yourself and ultimately take responsibility for whatever it is that comes up and look at it as, okay, how do I solve this problem? What do I need to do to get a feeling of what I think I'm lacking? And so I know it can be difficult. I know that if you're stuck in a rut and you're feeling like not doing anything, because I've been there, and it can be difficult to get out of bed. It can be difficult to socialize. It can be difficult to have the energy to do it. It really comes down to you telling yourself, how important is this to me? And how am I going to take the time to do this? Because it'll make your life better. And once you start to do that, and you start to take action and give yourself portions of your day to really take care of your needs in yourself, whatever the problem may be. Maybe it's not loneliness, maybe it's something else. Being able to really look at that and say, okay, how do I solve this problem? Because ultimately, that's it. That's all it is. And there is a solution to every problem in life. It's just a matter of us to figure out what the possible solutions might be and knock them down one at a time before you find the one that works for you. And the more you understand yourself and your own values and what makes you happy in your life, the easier it is going to be for you to be happy being alone, happy being with people that share your similar values and that are honest and that hold you accountable and that support you in your effort. And then the less you will feel alone in your life. Because not only will you be your best friend, then you'll have a lot of other people who you will have deeper relationships because they value similar things and they're involved in similar things and they love similar things. And that's where you get out of the hole of loneliness and you start to fill up that hole with these deeper relationships and social connections that feel good because you're in and involved with relationships and with people who are like you and who help your life. And then you feel that. And then your life can be full. So I hope that helps. Any questions, comments, hit me. Otherwise, thanks for your time. Talk to you soon. My beer went warm.